It's cold in this house and so I'm wearing an old hoodie. This is, in fact, my hoodie. I don't know why, but every single time I wear this hoodie, someone's always like, oh, is that your boyfriend's hoodie? I'm like, no, it's mine. I like my hoodies to be oversized, okay? Now I had filmed a video that should be edited and uploaded today. However, when I was editing the footage, I was no longer pleased with it. I don't know, it just bothered me for some reason. So, we're filming a new video on an entirely different topic because I'm organized. Today's topic, oh, I never said hello. Hello, today's topic will be about misunderstandings. Purely because I had a bit of a misunderstanding. Now necessarily, was it per se a misunderstanding? Nah. Did I know these things? Probably. I mean, I was involved in the situation, and I do, study sociology and psychology both for school and for fun, and as my future career. So should I probably have a better understanding as to if this is technically a misunderstanding? Yes. Do I, though? No. But, hey, that's just kind of how I tend to do things sometimes, okay? Look, I'm a very organized person, but I'm not that organized, okay? I'm still, I'm still me. But let me explain. Let me set the scene for all you lovely people out there, Nice little story time. I want to get yourself some tea. That's what I'm drinking. Nice blanket, something cozy. This might take a while. Point is, I had this moment where basically I was having a moment of self-doubt. Didn't you know that kind of self-doubt, especially if like I have depression, so sometimes it just slaps me in the face of, I try to say smack and slap at the same time. What am I doing? But sometimes it just smacks you in the face out of nowhere, right? And then you're like, oh, now I have self-doubt, now I'm sad, tiny. Well, I was always tiny. The point is that I was having this feeling of unlovability and such. And so I went to go talk to some people about it. And that's okay. These people are lovely people. It's nothing against them. I just caught them at a bad time. And that's literally what happened. But the story as it is right now is that I went to go to them and I don't like to share my feelings. I really don't like to. And so I was there and I'm like, well, let me ask first, right? Let me just ask. Just in case. And so I asked them, I'm like, hey, it's okay if I, have a kind of a moment. I'm not gonna cry or anything, at least I don't think I'm going to, but just want to share some thoughts. And they're like, yeah, sure, sounds cool. So I'm like, well, I'm feeling kind of, unlovable right now, very, very legitimately at the time. And I'm fine now. I'm fine now. But at the time, I was feeling a bit, unlovable, undesirable, Sometimes we feel that way, and that's okay. It's okay. You just have to acknowledge your feelings. That's all right. But I was trying to explain this, right? They were playing video games. They were all very busy doing other stuff. And they, cracked jokes and didn't take it very seriously, and so I'm like, okay, well, y'all are busy, so I'm just gonna dip. And honestly, in the moment, my feelings were kind of hurt. Because again, I don't share my feelings. See this me as a person, I don't like to share things. I really don't enjoy sharing my emotions. It bothers me. But in this moment, I was trying to share some stuff. And so I'm like, well, these are friends. I can do that here, right? And I just instantly felt like that was a very stupid thing to do. So I kind of dipped and they put into the little Discord chat thing, well, we're here for you if you ever want to come back. And I'm just my first gut instinct was to not believe them. My first gut reaction was, that's not true, because I just tried to be vulnerable and the response I got was not a good response. Which, that's not what it was, but in the moment, that's how I felt. And so I took some time to myself, right? Took some me time, and I figured this out, right? However, this is to me a misunderstanding, a big misunderstanding, because that wasn't what was actually going on. What was going on was that I tried to talk about a subject, and they were busy doing other things. And so their responses reflected that. But my initial gut reaction was, well, they don't really care. Which isn't the case. I know they care. I know they do. I know some of these people very well. Others, I'm like, okay, y'all are nice people. I don't know you super, super well, so I'm not gonna go in depth with my emotions or whatever. But look, I'm a human being. We have self-doubt, okay? This is nothing new. Don't judge me. So, because of that, I felt discarded, So here's the thing about misunderstandings. A misunderstanding happens and occurs when you go to say something or you get a reaction that is not what you were intending, and it makes you feel bad. So a good example of a misunderstanding would be, actually no, my situation is a perfectly good misunderstanding. What I understood was they didn't really care, and that was just what was going on. Like, it just wasn't. I understood at the time was that they didn't really fully care about what I had to say, when that's a complete misunderstanding. What it was is that was my gut reaction to what had gone on. What had actually happened though was that they were busy doing something else and couldn't give the conversation the full attention that I had wanted. Hello, Iris. May I help you? And so that's what ended up happening, and we had this slight misunderstanding because of that. Which there isn't anything wrong with, might I preface. It's just you need to be able to discuss these things, or at least work through them on your own, so that everything can come back full circle and be okay again. So to me, there are 3 things that you should keep in mind to not have such conflicting feelings in a misunderstanding. One of them is communication. Now, communication, as I believe, is key to all relationships, romantic, familial, friendships, all relationships, because if you can't communicate with the other person, then why are you even there? I don't understand. But being able to communicate is something important. Now, in this particular situation, what I could have done is been like, hey, I get that you guys are here and that you're listening, but I feel like you aren't, because when you do this, it makes me feel like you may not be listening to what I have to say, or that it might not be important. Now, I personally think that in that situation that I had would have been too much. I think it would have just been unnecessary to do. So in my case, what I did was option 2. And option 2 is having you time or doing some self-exploration. So what that meant for me is that I'm like, okay, well, I know that I'm feeling this way, and I already walked into this situation knowing that I was feeling a bit down. So my reaction could be because I was already feeling down to begin with. And so I decided to exit myself out of that conversation. I'm like, it's okay. I just kind of like played it off. I'm like, it's silly, it's stupid, whatever. And I'm just gonna go do some work, do some editing or whatnot, which is when I found out that I didn't like the previous footage and why we are shooting this video instead. But that's okay. I think I'm gonna like this video too, so it'll be fine. But I decided to exit out of that conversation, and I said I had to do some editing or whatever, and then I took some time for me. I sat there and I'm like, okay, Samantha. Ew. Okay, Sam, so let's sit down and address our feelings, okay? Because we are an adult and we can address our own feelings because we have taken the time to learn tools and understand ourselves more so that we can be in this headspace. So, you're already feeling down. Was their reaction to what you had to share really showing you that they didn't care? And then I had to sit there and be like, no. I could hear in the background noise they were playing video games. I knew they were playing video games. They even said so. They just were not in a space to give the reactions that I was looking for. And what I should have done is recognize that before I walked into the situation. And then I wouldn't have this gut feeling of like, oh, well, they're just not listening, they didn't care. That wasn't it. What it was that they were busy doing other things and I caught them at a bad time. That's what happened. It's not that they don't care. Well, I don't know all of them, so I don't really know. But for at least 3 of them, I can say, look, it's not that they don't care. They're just busy, okay? They're just doing other stuff. Okay, bye. But taking time for yourself, especially if you don't feel comfortable with complete confrontation like this. Now, for me, when it comes to myself, I don't tend to do a lot of confrontational things if it's just for me. Now, if it's for a friend, like someone is picking and bullying my friend, I will get in a fight, verbal fight. Let's try to avoid the physical fights, you know, because I am aware I'm a small bean. But I'm like, I will stand up for my friends. Confrontation does not scare me in that aspect. When it comes to myself, I just don't really find the point per se, which sounds awful, I understand. But hear me out. What I mean by that is that I just am a lot more of a mellow person, I guess. I mean, if you probably talk to anybody from high school or middle school, they'd be like, she is not mellow, she's crazy and a whack job and wears all black, is weird, which they aren't wrong. But when it comes to me, I just, like, who I am now, I just don't really care, you know? Which still sounds bad. I'm not explaining this well, but the point is that I didn't think in that situation it needed me to be like, hey, so you guys are doing this, it's making me feel like that. Now share your opinion. I just didn't think that would have been a productive use of the time. And so if you're kind of like one of those people too, and you rather just take time to evaluate why you feel that way, which takes a lot of knowing yourself, but that's, to me, is almost more productive in situations than sharing what you think about a situation, you know? Now, if you're, say for example, in a relationship and someone is doing something that really bothers you, you should absolutely, like a romantic relationship, and someone is doing something that bothers you, you should absolutely tell them, like, hey, when you do this, it bothers me and kind of bugs me. Because in a romantic relationship, you two are a cohesive unit and a cohesive team. That's kind of the point. At least from my perspective, that's the point. With friendships, kind of the same thing, but not. See, with a friendship, you're there and you do your own thing, and then they're there and they do their own thing, and you two, you don't share the same amount of responsibility to each other as you do in a romantic relationship, if that makes sense. So, you know, with a romantic relationship, you might live together, you might share bills, you might, I mean, to me, when I think of a romantic relationship, I'm not here for like a short-term thing, I'm here for a long-term thing, and that's how I view friendships too. However, like for example, I can move to a different state and still have a good relationship with my friends, whereas if I moved to a different state and I was in a romantic relationship and that person didn't come with me, that would put a lot of strain on the relationship, because there are different things that you do in a romantic relationship than in a friendship. There's a different kind of connection, and it makes things a bit more complicated. So if you're in a romantic relationship and there's something that really bothers you, you should express that, and don't say, well, you're annoying because you do this. That's not helpful. Say, I feel this way when you do this. Is that what you intended? Or how do you feel about that? And then they can come back and be like, that's totally not what I intended, or that's totally not what the way I want to make you feel. It's just something I've always done. I didn't know that was bothering you. And then you two can have a serious, mature conversation about, okay, well, is this something that I really need you to not do? Like, let's be honest here, if it's just something like leaving the toothpaste cap off, do you really need that? Or like is that a foundational pillar of your entire relationship? Or is that something you can like let go? So, you know, and then you two can have a mature conversation. But that's not what this is. The third thing is knowing yourself. I cannot preface how important this is. You have to know yourself decently. I'm not saying you have to be an expert. No one's an expert in who they are, which is kind of crazy because no one can be an expert on who you are either. So if you're not the expert, no one's the expert. Who's the expert? Have that to think about for a bit. Know yourself pretty well. For me, I know that when I feel depressed or when I'm feeling self-doubt, I am a lot more touchy. Does that make sense? Like, I'm a lot more soft and easy to hurt, basically. Let's be honest here. I'm a lot easier to hurt when I'm depressed or when I'm having self-doubt. So, for me to feel like, oh, well, they don't want to listen, they just don't care about how I feel, that's not what's going on. What I could then do is say, yeah, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is that you're already sad, you're already depressed, you're already having self-doubt, and then to have this particular reaction occur then makes you feel worse. And that's not their fault. That is not on them. That is on me. That is my reaction to their situation. I get to take ownership for my reactions. But I also know myself well enough to know when I'm like that and something like this happens, that's probably not what actually happened. Does that make sense? It wasn't that they didn't care, or that they didn't care about how I felt. It was just simply that they were busy doing something else and I caught them at a bad time. That's what happened. So knowing yourself well is important. Another thing that could pop up is, for example, romantic relationships give me anxiety. I have anxiety to begin with, but a romantic relationship always makes that worse, because then I sit there and I'm like, well, last 2 romantic relationships I had didn't end well at all, so maybe it's just something wrong with me. You sit there and you question yourself. At least I do, because I'm like, well, can I point out things that they didn't do so great? Yes. Can I point out a lot of things that they didn't do so great? Absolutely. There are also some things that I didn't do great either, and I understand that, and I can sit there and be like, okay, that wasn't so awesome. but you still kind of doubt yourself, you know? And so knowing yourself though is so important. If you don't know you, no one else is gonna know you either. Get it? If you don't know what's going on in your head, no one else is gonna know what's going on in your head because they can't get in there. Only you can. Only you can address your feelings because only you know what you feel. Everyone else can make educated Everyone else can make educated hypothesis about what you're thinking, but that doesn't mean that they know what you're thinking. Only you know what you're thinking. Only you know your emotions. Only you know. And so you should know yourself well enough, you know? For me, romantic relationships give me anxiety, so when I'm having a very stressful quarter, probably not the quarter to be in a romantic relationship or go seeking one. Sorry, that's just, I'm like, the quarter's already giving me enough anxiety, right? I don't need to then add on this whole cluster to deal with. It's just not needed, you know? And I've always been a very self-dependent person, not saying that I don't want to be in a romantic relationship one day. I would very much like to, but I don't need to. I can survive on my own without someone else. And so being able to know yourself though, you know, is important. So when you enter something that makes you anxious, like a romantic relationship in my case, you can sit there and be like, am I really, you know, worried about all these things legitimately, or is it just my anxiety making me worried? Being able to sit there and know your emotions well enough to be like, well, maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it's just this particular emotion instead that is fueling how I judge this situation. What actually happened here? Am I actually seeing what happened, or I'm seeing it through a different lens that I should not be seeing it through? Like in my case, with the situation we talked about previously at the beginning of this video, I was sitting there and I was trying to have a slightly vulnerable moment, and I know myself well enough to know that I don't like to share my feelings, and to have vulnerable moments is really, really, really difficult for me. It's just something I'm not very good at. And so, for me to receive that reaction at the time when I already know this is a tricky thing to do for me, and I already know I'm having self-doubt and am depressed, getting that reaction made me feel like they didn't care, when that wasn't the case at all. And again, this is not their fault. What it was is that they were busy. That was the reality of the situation, but the lenses I was looking through made it look like they didn't care, made it feel like they didn't care, when that was not the case. What the case was is that they were busy, I caught them at a bad time. That's the reality of the situation. But if I did not know myself, I would have potentially sat there and been like, well, I guess I don't matter to them. I guess my feelings and opinions aren't valid, which isn't the truth. To them, my feelings and opinions are valid. Well, at least to some of them. I can't speak for all of them. And honestly, I can't speak for any of them. I don't know. I do know, though, for very certain, that one person has told me that my feelings and opinions do matter. And to them, I say thank you, because you're a lovely human being, and that makes me feel better in general. Because I question that sometimes. But understanding the fact I do question that sometimes is also very important. Know yourself, people! I'm not saying you have to be an expert. I'm not saying you have to know all the intricacies of how your mind works. But I am saying that you should know yourself well enough so that when a situation like this, when a misunderstanding happens, is it really because of you? Did it really happen that way? Or are you seeing it differently because something else is having you see it differently? In my case, it was my, self-doubt that made me see the situation differently. That's not what actually happened. And sometimes you have a misunderstanding and you can look at it and you're like, yeah, no, I'm saying this clearly. It's literally a misunderstanding on the other person's part. So you take misunderstandings and you can boil them down into some pretty, basic scenarios. I misworded something. I was sad and so I saw a situation wrong. Basic things, people. So in conclusion, basically, there are 3 things that you should probably keep in mind for a misunderstanding. 1, communication. Communication is key. You should probably talk to people, especially people involved in the miscommunication, as to what you understood and why you understood it that way. If that makes you uncomfortable though, or that's something that you really don't feel is necessary, like in my scenario, then 2, you time, self-exploration. You should take the time to analyze, okay, is that really what happened in this scenario? Or was I feeling an emotion, or did that hit a trigger that I have, or did that remind me of something else, or whatever that led me to this conclusion? Which in my case, I was feeling sad, and so when they reacted that way, it led me to the conclusion that they didn't care, which was not the point, and I cannot preface this enough. That is not their fault. That is a me thing. Okay? Why am I confused as to what hand to use? 3, knowing yourself. You should take time, I believe, You don't have to believe this. You don't even have to do this. But I believe it is very beneficial to take time to know yourself, to really understand yourself. You know, is there a reason why this particular situation really bothers you? Is there a reason why I saw this scenario in a different light? Is that really what happened? I know me, so I know that when I'm feeling self-doubt and when I'm feeling sad, I can see situations as what they aren't. That's not the way it went. The way it went was that they were busy and I caught them at a bad time. That's what happened. But because I was sad and I was having self-doubt and I didn't feel confident, I saw their reaction and thought they don't really care, I'm just bothering them. Which was not the case. Being able to know yourself, being able to confront yourself legitimately, being able to accept, yes, I feel this way and it sucks and I don't like that idea. But being able to look at that, acknowledge the fact that that's how I feel, and then look back at it and say, right, but is that how the situation actually played out? Or did you just see it differently because we're a little sad right now? So, 3 things to keep in mind. I already told you those things. We're just gonna hit them real quick. Communication, you know, you time and self-exploration, and then know yourself, people. Take time. You are a wonderful, valuable, unique human being. There will never be another one of you in the entire world. You are a genetic miracle. Know yourself. You're special. Get to know yourself. You are an important human being. If you did like this video, please consider subscribing. I make video thingies. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I enjoy talking to a camera about things that I like talking about. So if that's interesting to you, or you found this funny for whatever reason, give it a maybe do a little subscribe. That would bring me joy. Or you could share this video if you found that it was helpful in some way. You know, share with your friends. If your friend's having a rough time with a misunderstanding of their own, maybe this will be helpful somehow. I really hope so, because my whole purpose in the life is just to help people. I'm trying to explore all avenues and how I can do that. If you enjoyed this, leave a thumbs up, you know, telling me that you liked it. If you didn't like it, leave a thumbs down, and if you don't feel compelled to do anything, then don't. That is always an option, and I will never limit your options. Did I say lemon or limit? Limits. And, as always, please leave me a comment. Guys, I don't know what I'm doing. Give me some suggestions. What videos would you like to hear me talk about? Whatever you would like to see me do, actually, well, just tell me. You know, just don't make it inappropriate. Be respectful, that's all I ask. See you. Be nice. Anyways, I have a dog sitting behind this curtain. She probably wants to go outside, so I'm gonna go do that now. I hope you all have a lovely day, because you are all lovely human beings. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye. How do people do outros? Can I just say bye and call it good? Yeah. Okay, bye!